The
Not so
Knicks
hot.
are the 12th seed in the East. The odds of making the playoffs look slim. There's always a weird chance in sports where a team could heat up at the right time. But the way they're playing, and I work at WFAN, so I get to watch the Knicks almost every night. And I'm just seeing everything every single night. And it's the same thing, Ashley. And
Yeah.
we're talking on March 23rd. So last night they lost to the Hawks at MSG 117 to 111. And Trae Young has two home courts. Let's just say that. He owns Madison Square Garden. He owns the Knicks. 45 points last night.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this overall season. Where does Tom Thibodeau go from here? Does Julius Randle era ending after this season? What's going on with this team?
There's a lot to digest, right? I think first and foremost, I don't want them to make the playoffs. I think that making the playoffs would give a false idea of what this season has been, and the season has been a failure. You know what I mean? I think sometimes when you start, when you catch fire at the right moment and you go into the playoffs, then all of a sudden, if you don't go ahead and make a run in the playoffs, the justification is, oh, we made the playoffs. I don't want that justification. I want you to simmer in the fact that you did not do anything this season we're celebrating. I think Coach Thibodeau I know a lot of people are anti-Tibbs lately. I will say that I think, as someone who's been very critical of Tibbs this season, I think that he's still the coach for the Knicks. I think that he's the coach for the Knicks if he can go ahead and realize this is not, back in the day. The game has changed. The rules have changed, and the way you have to coach has changed. I think he has a lot of good things about him. I think the players
Yeah, I
are,
agree.
receptive to him. I think that he's a defensive powerhouse, and that's a reason why the Knicks were a defensive team last season. I think that he's a victim of his own stubbornness at times. I think he's a victim, of not rotating when he should, and not being creative in those rotations, and not managing player minutes the way that he should, and not substituting the way that he should. Those things can be corrected if you're receptive to going ahead and correcting them. That's the difference maker on whether or not he is going to be the coach of the future for the Knicks. If he does not want to change his ways, then the Knicks have to change their coach. If he's going to change his ways, I truly believe that he can be the coach that can take this team to the next level.
And we saw a year ago that they have the talent. And even this year, we're
Right.
seeing what I love about this Knicks team is there's so much young talent on this team. Mitchell Robinson being at the center spot is a beast when healthy. Barrett has had, I would say, and probably a lot of people would agree, total upgrade from last season to this season. I mean, he has been phenomenal at a lot of points this year. And then there's times where it's like we're looking at the rookie Barrett from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly and Topman are getting more minutes. Quickly is become one of my favorites because he's a baller. He's a guy who's going to hunt the ball down, good defensive guy. But I think this is where Tibbs falls in the right place, where he has guys that he can coach, young guys.
Right.
Randle is a guy who is a veteran, an all-star. You're big money maker. I mean, the guy's got $155,000 in fines this year. It's hard to deal
He's a
with a
hothead.
big.
He's a little
He's
bit
a
of a
hothead.
hothead,
But
say
how
the
do you?
least.
But how does Tibbs deal with the young core guys that he knows will be the future of the Knicks? And Randle, a lot of Knicks fans do not like him this year
No,
because
of
he's so
course.
sensitive. He is very inconsistent. I mean, we're talking about like 10 footers and he's missing them in crucial points of the game. It's aggravating for Knicks fans.
No, absolutely. And look, I've been a Randall advocate, if you will. I think, some of the criticism of him is not fair. I don't think he's the Knicks' sole problem, and I've never thought he was the Knicks' sole problem. And I stand by that. I think that the Knicks, have a lot of issues. They need a point guard. I think Tibbs is part of the issue. I think that, the team was constructed this season to get better, and the experiment didn't work. I don't think that all falls on Julius Randle. What does fall on him is his attitude. What does fall on him is that he is easily affected. And this has been a critique I've had of him even last season. He's easily affected by the surroundings of the game. And anyone who's ever played basketball at any level knows that there's a lot that can go wrong. It just is what it is. You're not going to get the calls always. You're not going to always, agree with things that happen on the court. But the difference between good players and great players are able to overcome that. and block it
Right.
out and take it to the
Right.
next possession. You see that with RJ Barrett, which is one of the reasons why he's so impressive. RJ never gets too high or too low. He's very even keeled when it comes to the trials and tribulations of a game. He plays with passion. He plays with aggression, but you'll never see him arguing with a ref and allow that to go ahead and not allow him get to the other side of the court and affect the next possession. Julius is a victim of his own emotions sometimes.
I mean, look,
And
I
that needs
have
to go ahead and change.
right. There's $50,000 in fines just for the media. One
Right.
is 25 for cursing at a presser, and 25 for not even talking. And we've seen that in a lot of New York sports teams over the years. I guess not as of recently with certain teams, but when you're playing in a major market, New York, Philly, Boston, LA, Chicago, in any sport, like you gotta just be able to take the hits.